What's going on, everybody? We've got a 2016 Jeep Grand Cherokee here that's been fighting me with a random battery drain. I've looked at this thing several times and several times have not been able to duplicate it. So I've actually brought it home and been able to hook it up to the Picoscope and the battery maintainer and just let it sit. And right now the interior's kind of took apart a little bit so I can get some access to stuff. But I've got the Picoscope running, and as you can see, that red bar, that is the amp clamp around the battery cable, which is in under the seat over there. And I don't want to touch this too much because it's acting up right now. And it's been very finicky. Sometimes it will act up, and I can see that it acts up, and then it's like I touch something, and then it stops. So while it's acting up, I don't want to touch too much stuff. So let's see what's actually causing this draw. Alright, so it's been sitting out here overnight with this drain. Like, it started drawing probably like 8 o'clock last night, sat out here overnight. It's like 45 degrees, maybe 50 degrees out here. So I wanted to check with the thermal camera and see if any fuses or relays are lit up. And it's going to be very difficult to see that, but we have one fuse that is a little warmer than anything else in the fuse box there. And if I bring my finger in here, I can actually touch which fuse it is. So I can actually go with my voltage meter here, doing the millivolt voltage drop test across the fuse, and verify that yes, this is the fuse that has current flow. You can see we've got 20 millivolts of voltage drop across the fuse. So this is our fuse. And if we come to our fuse diagram thing here, we know it's fuse 62, and 62 is the AC clutch. So let's go over to the AC clutch with our thermal camera. You can see that thing is just glowing down there. It says it's actually 100 degrees down there. So we've got something keeping the AC clutch on, and that's what we need to figure out now. Okay, so I've got all data pulled up here with the wiring diagram of the circuit. I want to see what's all involved with this AC circuit. So I've got the AC clutch relay here and our fuse 62, which is the fuse we know we've got a voltage drop across, and following it down we've got our AC clutch relay, or AC clutch here. And we can see that the relay itself, it says that it's external, because if it was internal, not serviceable, it should say on PCB like that one. So by this diagram, it looks like we can service this relay, and following this down is controlled by the powertrain control module here, and then the 12 volt side of it looks like it has to be ignition from the run start relay. So for this relay to be turned on, we should actually have to have this circuit powered up and this circuit from the PCM grounded. So I was trying to find that relay, and when we were going over the fuse panel here, it's got all the relays in order here, 1 through 16, that is in the panel. There is no AC relay here. And then also, when we looked over this with the thermal imager, we didn't see a relay warm at all on this. We only seen the one fuse here. So I actually had to do some more digging in service information, and what I found is when I found the information on the AC clutch relay, it actually comes up and says internal, not serviceable. So this relay, even though their OEM diagram does not say on PCB, sometimes apparently that is wrong. So now what I want to do is I want to basically start with a control circuit, one that I can get to, like the one for the powertrain control module. I want to see if this circuit has any voltage to it or anything like that, and if when I disconnect the PCM, if my draw goes away. If my draw goes away, that means that relay is energized somehow, and by disconnecting the powertrain control module, we lose that ground path through the PCM, and that opens this relay back up. So looking over, I found C1 is the right side connector of the PCM, and then I've also got the pinout pulled up here. We're going to be looking for pin number 79 in the pinout here. So let me try to get this connector right here disconnected. I had to move the coolant reservoir over a little bit to be able to get this thing. It's kind of in a tight spot, and if you've done many of these, you know these connectors are a pain. They get grimy with dirt and stuff, and you kind of have to work them very slowly to get them apart without breaking. So I'm going to try to get this disconnected and hopefully still have my drain going, hopefully. So let's see if I can get this undone without breaking the connector. And oh yes, this one actually come apart very easily. So got that disconnected. Let's see if we've still got a drain here through our fuse. And we do. So now we know the PCM isn't involved at all with the drain, and I can actually test my circuit to see if I've got any kind of voltage there. All right, so I've got the PCM disconnected here, and I still got my battery drain. So that's good. That means the circuit is still active doing its thing, which is great for testing. I was going over the connector here trying to find my pin 79, and I actually have determined that these pin numbers are flipped. They're not correct. Pin 1 is not over here, it's actually over here. I verified that by looking at the corners, seeing what the wire colors were, and pin 24 we can see is a brown and dark green crankshaft pulse sensor or pulse signal, which is actually over here on this corner, and pin 1s through 22, almost this whole row is empty, and I've verified that. So now I've actually got into pin 79, so 73 is on this corner, 79 is right there, and pin 1 is on this corner. So I'm in my correct pin, and I've got one end of my voltmeter grounded, and as we can see, there's no voltage. So either the circuit is grounded, pulling the voltage low if there's voltage on it, or there's actually nothing there. So if I just take my meter lead, my ground side, and go to positive, we can see if we get voltage here. And we do. That means now that we've actually got a path to ground within this. So I'm actually looking for this circuit to actually be powered somehow, because we've got this 12 volts. And I kind of want to try loading this with a test light, but I'm also afraid if I load it with a test light, I may disrupt it and stop our battery drain from happening. But I think I'm going to actually use my high impedance test light. So let me grab that real fast. All right, so I'm watching my fuse voltage drop here. I've got my high impedance test light here. And we're basically looking for this voltage to go away to 0 and the bulb to light. That means that whatever's going on with the circuit can flow a little bit of current. So let's see. Yep, bulb is lit up, and we're about 4 volts here. I'm actually still got my drain here, so doing this test has not interrupted whatever's going on here. So I don't know if y'all can see the bulb or not, but you can see the voltage change. That's about 8 volts of drop. That's me just wiggling this, not having a good connection. But we've got about 8 volts of voltage drop here. So this, whatever's going on here is flowing a little bit of current. And now I'm basically left with, we need to pull this up and see what's going on below it. Is there corrosion in a connector causing this issue? And it's going to be very hard. I'm going to try to lift this thing up while watching here, but I might not be able to do that because these things are kind of a pain to get up sometimes, and I'm afraid I'm going to disrupt it and lose my battery drain. But at least we're narrowed into, it's got to be an issue either with connectors on the bottom, because this PCM harness just goes up and around to here. So I doubt there's anything down here. I don't see anything wrong. So we're basically, it's got to be either internal to this or a connector on the bottom of it. So I was very careful in getting this lifted up. I've still got my drain here, my 20 millivolts, and both of the circuits come to C3 connector, which is this one. And I've actually found the 2 wires, the control wire and the output wire right here. We got a blue with a yellow stripe and a blue with an orange stripe. So those are my 2 wires. I just want to disconnect this connector, check it for corrosion. If I don't find any corrosion in here, then the problem's got to be in the relay box. So let's get this disconnected. We already know that circuit the control circuit could flow current. And no, this looks clean. So the issue's got to be something in this fuse box. I know I'm not going to have my voltage drain now because I've got this unplugged, but do I still have voltage at all? No. So there's no voltage at all. Well, if I go back over to my 12 volt setting, yeah, we don't have any voltage on that fuse at all anymore. Let's try to reconnect this and see if our drain comes back. I doubt it will, but you never know. I'm either got a relay sticking or the relay internals have arced enough to cause some carbon buildup that is causing the power and ground sides to basically feed each other. And yeah, we've got no voltage on this fuse anymore, so my battery drain has now went away. At this point, I'm pretty confident in calling this fuse box bad because I can't get to this relay to do further testing or service it. If it was an external relay like this, we could definitely do more testing. We could unplug it and check, you know, how do we have power here? How do we have a ground supply here? But the way they make these fuse boxes, you can't do that. So at this point, I've got to call something bad inside of this fuse box. So now that this is no longer passing current to the AC compressor, I wanted to go back and kind of recheck something because I got to thinking about it. And this control circuit, I'm connected to power here, pin 79 there. I've got voltage still. And I actually now that I'm kind of thinking about it, this could be finding a path to ground through several relays, because basically if we're sending power in this way, it can ground through several different things. See, we got relay here that can maybe be grounded. There's just several ways. Like there's even more stuff here that we can't see that might find a path to ground. So what I want to do is just kind of re-verify or redo my test with my test slot. And if I stick this in here, we get the same reading, but I also heard something click. I don't know if I heard it click in here or in the car or what, but I heard something click. So that basically really tells me that this is normal, and we're just finding a path through probably another relay or something like that. So at this point, this fuse, I'm kind of leaning towards the relay that's in here is actually just getting stuck and not opening up. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm just getting a relay that is sticking, holding itself, passing current to the AC compressor all the time. So I'm sure a lot of you are probably wondering, is the fuse box repairable? Is that what's really wrong with this thing? And I can tell you that the car's been gone for about a week now. I put a brand new fuse box in it from the dealer. Problem solved. Hasn't had any issues since. And as far as if it is the relay, could the relay just be repaired, like replaced inside the fuse box or the power distribution module, which is what they like to call this thing? And the answer is yes, it is repairable. Like most things, it's repairable, but with the cost associated with it, would it be worth it? And I will say that this fuse box was surprisingly expensive. It was $500 from the dealer, and I think that was wholesale price. But it still, in my opinion, is cheaper than trying to repair it. The part to repair it, if you was going to get it, would probably be cheap, but the time involved, not really worth it. So let me get the fuse box up here for you. This is it, all took apart. I have the relay took off of it, and we'll show you why it's not really fixable realistically. For one, they glue this thing down in here with this coating, so that makes it kind of hard to get this thing off. I'm really surprised I didn't damage some of these pads when I pulled it up. But you would need a relay, and I don't know if you'll be able to see the part number on this thing or not, but there's two different sizes. There's small ones and a big one here. The AC relay was a small one. If you can see here, fuse 62 A and B's. A's is your inputs, B's is your outputs on this fuse box. And as you can see, there's this little branch of a circuit, and it should have like a little diode right here. It's got a pad for a diode, but it doesn't even go anywhere over here. In my opinion, if they put that there, I think this thing would have been just fine. I don't think the failure that we had would have happened, because the diode would have helped the failure of this thing, and I'll show you that here in just a second. But another reason why this thing is not really repairable is you see these big lugs basically for some big massive fuses that are soldered in. Well, on the back side, that's in the bus bar. The bus bar covered this section where the relay was right here. So me knowing I'm never using this again, I just cut the leg here, and folded this back. if you're trying to repair this, you're going to need to unsolder these and pull this bus bar up and out of the way without bending it and mangling it like I have. So this bus bar alone makes this thing extremely difficult to try to fix because of how big these are. This is basically going to heat sink all of your heat out. It's going to be extremely difficult to get this off. And see, you even got some more over here. It's just not worth it. It's not feasible. Is it possible? Sure. Not feasible. So let's get into our relay here that actually failed on us. So I've got the relay here, and first off I wanted to I was trying to be careful and cut the case off of it because I don't know if you can tell, but the cover is glued on these things. But if I flip this over, you can see where the contacts have been arcing a lot in there. And to help y'all see this, we're going to go over to the screen here. I got a new microscope. I'm sure it'll record. I just haven't had time to mess with it and know exactly how everything works with it and get everything set up to record with it. So let me get you guys set up here to where you can see it the best. Okay, we'll go with that. So we got our little cover here, and like I said, you can see this black spot, dark brown spot. That is from arcing in the relay contacts. So the way this thing has been arcing, it's throwing off a lot of dust. And this dust is going to be like little bits of copper and other metal that these contacts are made out of. And I bet if I could get in here with a meter, I could probably read some resistance from one edge to the other edge of this thing. Probably. I wouldn't be surprised if I couldn't. I've seen relays do this and carry current to the point of, keeping other relays powered, like weird stuff, like where this could be run all the way down the side and down to where like the control circuits would be. So that is a definite issue. This thing was definitely arcing a lot, and I believe if they had put that diode in there, it would have helped the arc. Now when I first took this apart, you can see these contacts are really dark and crusty looking. And if you see this little ball right here, this little ball was actually stuck in between the contacts here. This is my second attempt at filming this because the first time my microphone wasn't recording. So I'll give you a picture of what it looked like with this ball stuck in here. But as you can see, this thing has been arcing a ton in here, like really bad. And really what I expected to find was that this thing would fuse probably. When they arc, sometimes the arc will basically weld these together and hold them if there's not enough of a spring tension to separate them. So like when it is closing, it could arc and basically fuse itself stuck shut or stuck closed, and then not reopen when the coil is turned off. And that's what I was really expecting, but finding this little ball stuck in between these contacts was pretty wild. And you can kind of see a little spot in there where that ball was sitting at, like that little silver spot, kind of. That's where this little tiny ball right here was sitting. And this is just where the metal in this had been melting away, and it basically rolled into a ball and then hardened back up. So pretty wild. They definitely, I think if they put that diode on this output side, it could have prevented this from arcing as bad as it was. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This car was a real pain for me to actually get to duplicate. I looked at this car several times and it just wouldn't act up, and then finally once I got it here at my house, got it set up, it actually acted up for me, and I was glad I was able to figure this out and actually video it for you guys. This was a pretty interesting one, kind of a unique failure, a little frustrating to find out how intermittent it was for me, but that's it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later.